gonna be the first person ever to land on the moon. What if we had YouTube during the world's most iconic events?
People have done some crazy things throughout history. Discovering fire, making the internet, the moon landing. It's just such a shame that nobody was able to vlog it all. Those would be the sickest videos ever. So today I'm gonna imagine what it would be like if I was thrown back in time and put in charge of making content for these major events as they were happening. This means I gotta get in character to design the best titles, thumbnails, and videos possible. And at the end, we'll actually see which one would get the most views. So the brainstorm stage can kind of be split into two main categories, those being the title and the thumbnail. Coming up with good YouTube titles for this should be relatively easy because a vlog of the very first moon landing is something you kind of just gotta click on. Anyway, I'm sure I'll come up with more, but let's stop there for now. And let's move on to our thumbnails, which are generally more important than the titles. A pretty easy one could be just like, the ground is the moon and our astronaut in the foreground. This would be a pretty easy one to tag some text onto. Right now, our astronaut's face is kind of covered up, so maybe we'll make a little room for a little smiley face. Anyway, let's move on to another idea. They're not like super colorful though. Another mini trend in terms of YouTube thumbnails was using like an orange jumpsuit. And while wearing that in space would make no sense, I think I have seen like orange astronaut suits at some point. Let's just run with that idea and do a zoomed in version and one where I'm all crouched up. Just something like this. I think each of these are pretty solid ideas. And if we're going through the effort to make one, might as well make all of them. So long story short, I essentially need to find an orange astronaut suit like we talked about. For some reason, my first thought was to try a thrift store. And I don't know why I thought I would find anything in there. It's a thrift store. They're not gonna have an entire astronaut suit in there, let alone an orange one. I actually did come across these boots that looked a little promising. I'm not about to drop $30 whole on a pair of boots that I'm never gonna wear again. But if we run out of options, we at least know that they're here. Anyway, let's go to Walmart or something. I spotted the Halloween section basically instantly, and they had a much better selection, but of course, no luck. Why did I think that Walmart might have an astronaut suit too? Come on. So now we're on our way to Spirit Halloween. The prices will obviously be higher, but at least they'll actually have the outfits, hopefully. I don't know, man. Spirit Halloween didn't have an astronaut suit, or anything else. I was apparently just lied to, I guess, because this store simply did not exist. It's like the middle of September. I thought surely they would be open by now. So I was forced to go somewhere even scarier than Spirit Halloween, Amazon. Okay, after a bit of searching, I came across a couple decent options. First, of course, we got the astronaut suit, and they got a bunch of different sizes, and I'm going 3XL because according to the size chart, even that one won't be tall enough for me, but I'm hoping with tall enough boots, it'll cover up the difference. The next, we got the helmet. Honestly, just kind of going with the cheapest option here. And I thought about ordering some gloves as well, but they're just so overpriced, and I might as well just use some like gardening gloves or something. But I'm just really hoping these will work out. I'm already dropping $60 on this, and this is just the first costume. Only the first costume? What does that mean? Essentially, I originally planned for this video to include 3 different historical events, the moon landing just being the first one. But after recording all the footage, I realized this video would be over an hour long minimum, and I'm not doing that. But what this means is I have 2 more videos like this, so make sure you subscribe to be ready for those. Alrighty, so here we are in the void. It's been a few days and we finally have all of our items here together, meaning we should be ready to take all the pictures to match all the drawings that we made earlier. While it would obviously be super awesome to get other celebrity type people in these thumbnails, I'm obviously just way more accessible to myself, and I'm still decently clickable. I'm still a YouTuber. Alrighty, let's take a look. This actually seems pretty decent. Look at that. It totally reaches my feet. We'll just set that aside for a second. Then of course, next we got the actual astronaut helmet. This I am a little more worried about, not gonna lie. Especially considering all of these front images are just showing an actual child wearing it. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine, because it kind of has to be fine. Okay, let's try to put all this on and see how it looks.
Okay, so here we have it. The whole astronaut suit all together. We got the full orange suit looking nice. The boots honestly work surprisingly well. I forgot to mention I stole these from my dad and I did not have to spend $30. It definitely helps that they're the most like cartoonishly simple boots of all time. Like if you're gonna draw a boot, it's gonna look exactly like this. Anyway, I got a couple notes on this outfit. First of all, you're gonna notice I'm not wearing the helmet right now. Let me just show you. So this was absolutely made for children. It fits on my head, but just barely. Like you can see my chin is right at the bottom of it. But luckily I was able to borrow a turtleneck from my brother to kind of hide that. The bad news is when it is closed, my face is like totally pressed up against it. And you can see as I'm talking, it's totally fogging up. Oh man. It's kind of tough. Anyway, lastly, we've just got the gloves. I opted for the longer garden gloves just because I like the shape better. I don't love the color. I think black would have looked a lot nicer to match the boots, but it's nothing we can't fix in post. But anyway, that's the outfit. That brings us to the setup tour. Woo! I had to rearrange the whole house to make room for my brand new green screen. This is green screen number 3, by the way, being by far the biggest. Anyway, a lot of this might seem like it's pretty excessive, unnecessary, not the best way to do things, and you're totally right. I want to be perfectly clear, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I'm thinking we just start with the main one of me just kind of standing there. That seems relatively easy. Let's get that set up. Okay, I'm gonna connect this camera to my phone so I can see the live feed, which also means it's gonna get really stuttery for you guys. Sorry about that. Okay. I think we can pull this off. This actually might not be too bad. Do I want my glasses on under the visor? That wouldn't make like a ton of sense. Does it make sense? Do astronauts wear glasses under their visors? I'm gonna wear them. Okay, I'm gonna do a 10-second timer. Go. Oh, I hear the beeps. What am I posing like? Some notes. I need the turtleneck up. You can fully see my exposed neck. You want my hair moved out of the way, probably. You really can't see my face well at all. How would it look if I like digitally added a visor? You know what I mean? Like I take the visor off of this physically. Oh, guys, holy cow. Okay, I managed to get it off finally using some freaking pliers. Oh, that was way too much. Okay, back at it. I took picture after picture and I just kept messing up. Oh, I felt weird posing on that one. My hair was just totally poking out. Also, that pose kind of sucks. But after a while, I finally settled. Okay, that felt better. That felt good. Let's move on to the other ones. Okay, so same sort of idea, but I'm gonna be crouched down. Also, I know I'm not being totally historically accurate with like wearing the orange suit rather than white. I don't know about that one. But think about it, if YouTube existed back during the moon landing, they would want to make it as clickbaity as possible. I was not ready for that one. And if you ask me, I think they would have actually considered wearing bright colored suits on the moon, which is totally grayscale, just to make it as clickbaity and visually poppy as possible once it ended up in the news and YouTube. I think we just move on to the next shot. Let's move the camera, finally. The problem is I'm like too tall for this tripod. Like you can see right here, this is what the shot looks like when it's absolutely the widest, but I'm definitely taller than that. So if I try to zoom in, it just zooms in on like my chin and mouth. So genuinely, a lot of the time when I record stuff, I ended up crouching down. Now, just to be safe, I'm gonna make the shot a little wider than I need it to be, but we just go like this. I forgot it was at 10 seconds. The pointing is so funny. Okay, now let's just get that last shot with the boot. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these pictures went kind of hard, but I realized they weren't really gonna work out. I'll explain it more later, but for now, let's skip on past that to the video segment. I know I showed you guys part of it at the beginning of this video, but I made it a bit longer than that, so stick around. I think it would be kind of fun to make an intro for this thumbnail of the moon landing and just be totally over the top, like Mr. Beast style, like I just landed on the moon, whatever. Oh, it would probably look better with the visor for the video part, huh? My nemesis, the visor of the astronaut helmet, back again to torment me. I think we start with the visor up, actually. This will be like me in a rocket ship sitting down. I guess I'll just like act like I'm in a chair. Here's a little fun fact for you guys. I actually suck at recording videos. I need to do like 8 takes for every sentence I say. I'm gonna be the first person ever to, I'm gonna be the first person in history to, I'm gonna be the first person ever to land
But
on,
eventually, I did get it.
I'm gonna be the first person ever to land on the moon. Ooh, I think a really good one would be like a full body shot of me jumping onto the moon, like about to step on it, but in slow-mo. So I might have to change these camera settings to adjust for that.
Then I got a few more shots to mess around with.
I think we're good to head into Photoshop to edit those photos and then eventually the video as well.
So let's just start with a new Photoshop file, Moon Thumb 1. Okay, so a big part of this is gonna be using stock images. Let's just search up space, and let's just use this as a starting point for our background. We'll keep our drawing low opacity on top, just so we remember what we're shooting for. The moon. Anyway, we can come back to that. Let's just move on to adding the pictures of me into here. Here's all the photos that we just took. I like to kind of just skim through these and see which one I like the best. It's definitely between these 3. I'm not totally sure, so let's just drop them in. Okay, this one, the helmet's a little too tilted, I think. This one's kind of tilted as well. Maybe this one's the one. Nice and simple. Let's just do it. Okay, then while Photoshop did automatically cut this out pretty dang well, you can see there's still a few areas where the green screen's popping through, and especially along the edges. We'll just cut into here a little bit, and right here. Make sure we bring back anything that it takes out unintentionally. I think the green screen got pretty dark down here. We'll just kind of guess and do a little outline. Already not looking too bad, but I definitely don't fit in very well, especially considering I don't have a shadow yet. That's gonna be a huge factor in this. Now, considering the first people on the moon were American, probably the majority of people watching this video would be American, so I'm gonna make sure that the rotation of the Earth shows America. Something more like this than this. I know that's a very small nitpick, but I promise you a lot of YouTubers are thinking this detailed when they make their own thumbnails. Okay, I'm kind of liking this one. Gosh dang it. The checkerboard background is so annoying. It's really easy to get rid of in Photoshop, but it's just annoying that I have to do that. And our last main element that we're gonna add is just some text in the corner. I don't know what I want this to say yet, and we'll definitely mess with the font and the size and everything. Now you'll notice that the lighting when I was shooting is kind of coming from this side. So we're gonna say our light source, which would be the sun, is coming from this direction. The Earth lines up with this pretty well already. Let's just rotate it a little bit. But the surface of the moon that we've got does not look very good. You can see that this rock has a shadow going this direction, which is essentially just the opposite of our current light source. So this is a very easy solution. Let's just flip the background. Now moving on to my personal shadow, I actually don't know the best way to do this. One way is we could just make a copy and flip it and put it down here. Honestly, it doesn't look super terrible, but it clearly doesn't match up. Both of my feet are not connected to the shadow feet. So I'm just gonna do that as a reference point, but I think we're gonna just have to paint our own shadow in, which is a little unfortunate. I don't need this to look perfect, just usable essentially. But you can see the shadow is kind of going over some of these rocks. So with the opacity down like this, I'm gonna make a little mask so we can literally just cut out these rocks. Even the little guys. Okay, now let's light myself just a little better. We can start by just brightening up some areas, give our boots a nice shine. And I'm thinking, honestly, a decent solution could be to just make it black and white. That totally takes out the greens. Works for me. Now there's a pretty consistent green like outline across my entire body. This is definitely a downside of recording in front of a green screen, but it's gonna be very helpful when we get to the video part of things. Next up, let's take out this patch, which we can do with the patch tool. Same with the other ones. They're kind of cool decorations, but don't seem very accurate to anything real. Nice. Then we can just add our own patches. Cut it out and shrink it nice and small to put probably on this side. Let's mess with the perspective a little bit since it's gonna be wrapping around the shoulder, and give that some lighting change as well. Next up, we got the YouTube classic. Let's brighten up my eyes. I used to be proud of the fact that I didn't brighten up my eyes in the thumbnails, but sadly it simply works too well. It does look harsh. I like to feather it out a little bit. And while we're at it, let's get rid of this little glare that's in my glasses. That looks a little messy so close up, but keep in mind our thumbnail is this big. But as you can see, the eye brightening really does make a difference. Ooh, I almost forgot. We gotta add the visor back in here because we took that off for the actual photo shoot. This is so annoying. Glass ball.
Shrink that down, bring it over my face, bring out the corners. This looks pretty messy right now. I'm hoping it can turn out. It might seem like I'm putting way too much care into some parts of this, but I can tell you from personal experience, these thumbnails matter so much. I've generally noticed that the more effort I put into thumbnails, the better they perform. Duh. But since the recent YouTube update where they let you test 3 different thumbnails at once, every new video I've made, I've tested not just 3, but as many thumbnails as I could make, starting from big changes to really little ones. And the videos I've done that for have performed significantly better. And I've been able to make some older videos kind of come back to life. Maybe now we address the gloves. To be real, I just kind of don't want to deal with them. But we gotta do it. Whoa, that looks really terrifying. Jeez Louise. Sometimes you'll come across stuff like that when you're erasing random layers and not others. Then you bring back the background layer and it's like, oh, we're fine. We'll have that as the base, then put the black ones on top and just make some little like details with it. Quite genuinely just drawing them on. I don't know if this design makes sense at all, but I think it looks kind of cool. Let's move on to the text. Why not? We could do like me with a little arrow, the moon. Let's bring back first. That was kind of funny. What? Have I seriously not saved yet? Oh, that would have been really bad. A personal thumbnail test I do for myself is by zooming out as if I was looking at this on a phone and also holding it super far away. Like even super small, that looks pretty dang good. I'll do some more really tiny tweaks off camera just to get it as perfect as possible. That one took about 2 hours to make. Hopefully the other ones can be a little shorter. Anyway, let's copy this and start on the next one. Next up, we'll do this one, which is just the altered version of the one we already did. I'll be real, this one went down basically the same as the last one, so I'll just give you a little recap. I dropped in my favorite of the sitting photos and messed with the positioning a little bit. I fixed up the gloves and boots and drew out another janky shadow. A big thing that helped was erasing the inside edges of these boots. Since the light shouldn't be hitting it there anyway, it looks better to just blend it in with the shadow. I was actually able to just copy over the glass visor thing and warp it, which was really nice. And I just rearranged the words and replaced the patches on the suit. I came across the scary version of me again on accident, which was kind of funny. Whoa, hello there. Then I was finally done. Nice, got him. That looks good, man. And with that, it's time to shift our focus from far out to more zoomed in with some of these guys. These two are my favorites of the more close-up ones. And I was thinking about this boot one, and I realized that it makes absolutely no sense. Like, if the point is that I'm stepping onto the moon, you're not gonna be seeing the moon in the actual photo. You'd only see space behind me, and I don't think that would look very good. Like, it would look interesting, but it would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole moon landing deal, you know? Thumbnail 3. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. Let's move the earth to be a little more noticeable in the background. As cringy as it is like a pretty well-framed photo. Also, this is kind of a random side note, but for this entire project, I decided to film in 4K for some reason. I thought, oh, this video could just look a little nicer than my usual ones since it's like a bit more of an involved project. But over half a terabyte and a new hard drive later, I'm starting to regret that a little bit. So I'm sorry if the quality's slightly worse now. I'm recording in 1080, I'm sorry. Okay, I gotta do the visor stuff again. I actually relatively enjoy the process of making thumbnails like this. It's nice and chill, no pressure in the moment. It's different right now because I'm recording it, but still. Let's get some face tweaks like the eyeballs again. And I might try to tone down some of the visor just because it takes away like all the contrast in my face. And we gotta make my skin picture perfect. Not actually, just taking away any big spots. You know what this kind of looks like? Freaking Vector and Despicable Me on the moon. That is a tragic comparison. I do not want to be depicted as Vector. But I don't feel like there's a lot of room for text in this one, so I think that's basically it. Which means it's time for the final thumbnail. Woo! Being essentially very similar, just with this photo. The concerned look. And let's just knock this one out quick. This one specifically is not helping me against the Vector allegations. I'm realizing the zipper does not help the illusion of it trying to look real, so I'm gonna get rid of that. No, I don't care enough. I'm actually pretty excited about these. Again, I'll tweak these a little more off camera. Probably just really tedious stuff that won't be interesting to watch. And there we go, all 4 finished thumbnails. I went ahead and matched my favorite titles to each one of them, giving us these options with each one having its different word variations. And now all that's left is to show off our video. So after getting those thumbnails done, I spent basically the entire next day building this intro. So I'll just give you a little walkthrough of what I did and what all these blocks are, and then I'll show you the final result. Now, I just started with this clip of myself. I'm gonna be the first person ever. And after doing the quick green screen treatment and cutting out the mask, it looks like this. And since we recorded that in 4K, it's really easy to zoom in without it losing a ton of quality. And I put myself in this background that looks kind of like the interior of a rocket ship. I have no idea what it's supposed to look like, but I bet that looks fine. And then I just added some words to visually go along with what I was saying. Anyway, I took all these layers and essentially turned them into one video. And I wanted it to look like it was zooming out through the window to a bigger view of the spaceship, like in space. Anyway, at the end, I kind of point up, and that was supposed to be me like pointing up towards the moon. And so I thought a good way to show that would be to like zoom away through the stars to the moon. Also, I realized I wanted to actually say more in the intro than I did on the green screen, so I did this little voiceover afterward. In this video, you'll see how NASA was able to... So I'm kind of talking in the background as it's showing these stock videos of like NASA doing the spaceship and the rocket actually taking off. I thought this shot was kind of fun of me just like taking the helmet off and swishing my hair around. So that's just another interior shot of our rocket ship. And then ending it off with a shot of me jumping onto the moon in slow-mo. You can see the shadow isn't necessarily where it's supposed to be, but it still looks decent. Essentially, I just copy-pasted that video of me and tilted it. Then I made it all black and added a little blend mode so that it would blend in a little better. Then to top everything off, I added a bunch of sound effects. I wanted it so that essentially everything that you're seeing visually, you could also hear in some way. So like when the camera moves, you're gonna hear some sort of whoosh. Or even with like these words in the metal, I just wanted something there. Especially when we're zooming around and past the stars, I wanted it to feel like you're feeling the movement. I think that kind of like sounds like the stars are passing by your ears, you know? Which makes no sense in space. There's not supposed to be sound like at all. At a few spots, I added more ambient noise. At the very beginning, I have this boom. Along with this.
Supersonic, obviously.
That was just taken from a random like news broadcast of a rocket ship blasting off. Kind of just sounds like the interior of a spaceship to me. And finally, just this countdown.
3, 2, 1, and lift off.
You know, just for dramatic effect. Also, I forgot to mention the song I used, which was a pretty crucial part of it. That was just taken from Anthpo's royalty-free album thing. It kind of just sounded like a solid YouTuber song, and it was free to use, so shout out to him. But yeah, I think that's basically it. Here's the final result. I'm gonna be the first person ever to land on the moon. In this video, you'll see how NASA was able to build the world's most powerful rocket.
And lift off.
And how I became the astronaut that won the space race.
So there we have it. I think the intro turned out pretty fun and the thumbnails work pretty well. But which one is the best?
The good news is we can actually find out. Like I mentioned earlier, YouTube now lets you test multiple thumbnails at once to see which one gets the most people to watch.
So over the next few weeks, I'm gonna test all 4 of these thumbnails to see which one gets the most clicks. And just to spice things up a little, I'll add in some bonus thumbnails. I had an idea to make some where you can see this sort of transition between the green screen and the final moon thumbnail we end up with. I was thinking that might represent this video that you're watching a little better. Then after a month or so, all the thumbnail tests should be over, and whichever thumbnail this video has after that will be the winner.
We obviously can't go back in time to post that vlog, and I'm not gonna use those titles for this video, but I think this is just about as scientific as we can get. Anyway, if you guys liked this video, remember I got the other 2 waiting, so make sure you don't miss out by hitting subscribe.